Saturday. I had consultations planned, but surprise, surprise, the clients didn't show up, or at least the first one didn't, because we had scheduled the appointment at 11. We were supposed to go through some designs. She didn't know what she wanted, so we were supposed to have that and then potentially set a date for next week on Saturday, but that didn't happen. She rescheduled. Allegedly, something of importance came up. I don't know whether it's a story or it's actually true, but it doesn't matter because she didn't show up. So I told her if it was serious and she wants to book the session, then we'll just reschedule and see. Hopefully, you can get it done. If not, then just find another client. I had another one scheduled for 2 p.m., but that client, even on text, I think I mentioned it before, it was a bit like I was getting flaky vibes from him. So that one I was prepared for him not to show up. So now I think it's around 2:12. The appointment was supposed to start at 2. It's 2:12. I haven't heard from him from I don't know how many, from I think Thursday. So since I already knew he was giving flaky vibes, I didn't bother reaching out. If he shows up, cool. If he doesn't, well, I didn't waste my energy trying to get him to the studio. So that's that. Tomorrow I had something planned, but that client also is a bit flaky, so probably is not gonna show up, which is fine because I already have this printed out. When I went to the cyber, or when I previewed the design on my phone, it was line work only. But going to the cyber and trying to print it, then the reference image is showing up. I think there was an issue in how I saved it. So after like trying to print out the line work only, this is what came out, and I was like to the printer again because I want to do this the old school way. I just told him to give me the printout because I think I can work with it. It's not too dark to where I can't see where I've marked. So once I have drawn this out, I think I'll just discard this and just remain with the line work on Illustrator. So I want to draw this out, lay on this. This is what I'll be working on. It's a new practice scheme that I'm testing out. I'm saying I'm testing out because I got it from a different place, from where I normally get them. So I'm testing it out. Hopefully it is good and I can get something nice done here. But looking at it, looks a bit light. So, but we'll figure it out. So I want to lay this here, and then I'll use Dettol to transfer the way that I did this. Dettol to transfer, and then let it rest for like 24 hours. Because that's the thing with practice schemes, you kind of need to give them time for the stencil to settle in, and then I can start the practice. The idea is to do this in grayscale and then incorporate the red in the brain in a tasteful way, because I don't want the whole brain to be red. I want for it to have the red and some accents of red and grayscale. So I want to incorporate that here. I already have like a rough idea of how to do it, but most of it will be experimental. Hopefully I don't fail at my experiment. If I fail, then it's fine because it's practice scheme, so the stakes are not too high. But yeah, that's what I want to do. Stencil this out and it will take a while. But I don't really have that much of a time crunch, so I'll just take my time to make sure that I have a good stencil and a good base to start from. I don't think it's translating that well on camera, but the practice skin has this kind of shiny layer to it, and to eliminate that I want to use this alcohol. So I want to spray it down and make sure that I don't have that shiny layer on top, because that will make it more challenging to lay the stencil. As I'm doing the hand stencil, I'm remembering how much of a pain it was and how grateful I am to have the stencil printer, because for like a year straight, this is how I would approach all my tattoo appointments. And it was really like, it wasn't the best situation, but had to work with what I had at the time. But yeah, I'm remembering how much of a pain it was to hand stencil. This is what I have currently. Not my best work, but it's just enough for it to work. Also, I'm reusing some stencil papers. That's why you can see some of the lines are a bit chopped. But I need just enough. Then the rest I'll figure out. I need the essential parts. So finally got it done. This is the aftermath. My hand pretty dirty, but finally got it done. Now I want to lay this on the practice skin and hope that I can get it in the first try, because if not, then I'll have to repeat. So I want to lay the stencil. Like I said, I'll be using Dettol. There's just a little bit in the bottle, in the tin I mean. But the main reason I use Dettol is because I've tried using the stencil stuff, but for some reason on fake skin it doesn't translate as well, because obviously it's not absorbent. So you kind of need this liquid stuff, this liquid consistency, and Dettol works pretty well. The caveat is it has a really like strong smell, pungent I would say, but considering I don't use it every time, then it's fine. Also, when I started, I used to use this on skin. It works, but I didn't like the fact that it is liquid. You kind of have to be careful not to over apply, otherwise your stencils will be messed up all the time and they will smudge. So even with this, when I lay it, I know that some of it will smudge. The goal is to make sure that enough of it is more than legible, so that even when some of it smudges, then I can just figure out how to move from there. So that's why I use the Dettol. I've seen other people use deodorant, like the Deo stick. I've not tried that out because I found it's works best for me, but whatever works for you so that you can have the stencil. So let's see, hopefully can get it in the first try. So I'm applying a fair amount of pressure and trying as much as possible to not move it so that it doesn't double print. So but I'm pretty sure that it will be messed up in some areas because that's the nature of doing the stencils. Like, it's very rare for me to get a perfect stencil, especially on the practice skin, because like I said, it's not absorbent, so I have the chance of it not going as planned. So let's see what I have. It's actually not bad, very light, very light. Like this, I'll have to wait for it to cure so that I have a chance of getting like a good result, because if I start to work on it, let's say now, by the time I wipe a particular section, I'll find that most of it will have erased because of the way it is light. But I'll set this aside and just give it time so that it can settle in, and hopefully I'll remain with a significant portion of it. But especially this part, I'm prepared to freehand quite a bit because this is the lightest part. But that's not an issue because, like I said, I have been in such a situation before, so it's nothing new to me. But this is my practice piece, and I'm super excited to run my experiment.
Westi huku Islando jo washanijua, super wa mtu ni besti, umeshindwa na beef manzejo unatusumbua, bora tu sura ni sexy, wachana na haga butu tanunua, anajua mimi na jeshi just in case motherfuckers ajaribu kuzua.
About to redo a design because my client had sent me something different, and then when today came in the morning, he said he wanted to change it. So obviously that's not ideal because I had woken up and done the design, but he changed his mind last minute, and also he had cancelled the session. Like, to me, comes off as a bit indecisive, so I want to draw out what he has sent me. Hopefully it will not change, because if I draw that and then he comes in and then he wants to change it, then it will eat into his like appointment time, which is not an issue for me, but still I'll have gotten inconvenience. So I want to draw the design. It's nothing complicated, but I just wish that he had told me that before. I spent like 30 minutes or an hour to draw that out. So I just wish he had made up his mind sooner, but oh well. So let me do that and then see you guys when I set up. vlogged from, I think it's close to a week now, and this is kind of like the outro and a recap of the 2 weeks. I don't even remember what I filmed last, especially for YouTube. Of course, I've been recording, like I've been working the period that I haven't been vlogging, but I haven't been doing the updates before the piece or after a piece. So I don't remember the last like video what I was talking about. But this is kind of like the outro, like I said, and the past 2 weeks have been interesting. Like I said, I was going to test out Red. I started. I've done it on some clients, like in small bits, because like I said, I'm experimenting with it, and with experiments some fail, others they turn out great. So I have experimented with it. It's a very weird color, if I'm being honest, because when you apply it on the skin, like it's not like practice skin where you apply it and it's bold. When you apply it on the skin, then you immediately get to see that it doesn't saturate that well. So I'm not sure whether it's the brand of the ink or it's just color in general. So I was experiencing a bit more bleeding than normal. Not crazy, but I was experiencing some bleeding. So I was like, that bleeding paired with the fact that I'm using red ink, so it was an interesting experience. And yeah, so I also wanted to test it on this practice skin. As you can see, I did the stencil. I was showing you guys how to apply the stencil. But then, when I started the practice, I was disappointed with the skin, honestly, because it doesn't saturate well with ink. Like, I think the material, it was a bit glossy, and I tried wiping it with alcohol. I remember recording that clip, but the texture was a bit too, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a bit too tough for the needle to penetrate, and I even actually used a fresh needle because I was finding it difficult to saturate, and I was like, let me just open a new needle and then test it and see whether the problem is the needles or the practice skin. So this bit I did with a fresh needle, and as you can see, I wanted it to be way darker than it is. So that didn't happen, and I was like a bit disappointed, so I left it for a couple of days. I haven't gotten back to it because the original plan was to do these two in grayscale and then do this with the red and black, the mix that I was talking about. So ever since being disappointed, also the stencil stuck for too long, so as I'm shading, then you can see these parts that when I eventually figure out how to saturate this particular skin, I will have these markings which I do not like on practice pieces. I've actually abandoned a piece before because of that reason. Let's see if I can find it. This is a piece that I was meant to be doing an eagle. It was from last year. And as you can see, the stencil stuck for way too long, and that pissed me off, so I just gave up on it. So I didn't want the same to be the case for this. So I'll try and push through, see whether I can make it work, and know how to proceed on this other side, because now I know that this skin is not what I'm used to. So I know how to proceed with caution for the next time. So that's what I was experimenting with, and probably we'll see it in the next vlog, maybe. I'm not making any promises, maybe. But for sure, I'll make it a point to finish this piece. Through the challenges, I'll still finish this piece. So, other than that, I made a recent discovery with my machine actually, and I didn't even know this because I've been using this machine for like, basically I've had a wireless machine for about a year. Not the same brand but not the same machine. I started off with a different model and then switched to this around, I want to say it was around October, November last year. So I made a discovery with this machine that the stroke is adjustable. And for those who don't know what machine stroke is, it basically means how hard the needle hits the skin. So for me, ever since getting the machine, I just opened it and I used it like the default. And for a long time, I thought stroke and needle hang is how far you extend the needle. I thought stroke and needle hang are the same. So when you turn this, the needle goes outwards or it gets retracted. For me, I thought those two are the same, but the stroke has more to do with the motor than the actual needle, because like I said, the hang is how far you can make the needle protrude, and that you control using by just turning. So when I was watching a YouTube video and I saw that guy, he was like rotating this part of the machine, and I tried it with mine and there was some movement. So I was very like intrigued, because that meant that I have been using the machine the wrong way. Let me show you guys what I mean. Like when you rotate this part, so for me, when I was looking at the default setting, I think it was at 2.4, and 2.4, I even looked up like visual demonstrations. 2.4 basically means the needle is just like, it doesn't have enough power. So even when you increase the voltage, although the machine is going fast, but still the distance being covered is this, but just faster. So it doesn't have that much force to penetrate the skin the right depth. So that maybe is the reason why I've had some clients with tough skin, and with those clients I was noting that I was having to do touch-ups, and the touch-ups the touch-ups were being a bit more frequent, and I was wondering what the issue was, because I didn't change the needle or the machine or the ink. So I was wondering what the issue was. I even changed where I bought the ink from. This is the new batch, and I want to see whether I'll get complaints about touch-ups. And come to find out, there's something called stroke, and it's actually on my machine. So when I watched the visual demonstration, they were talking about how the 2.4 side by side compared to the 4.2 stroke, and the 4.2 significantly like saturates better, and when you line, the lines are more bold. So I want even to test the 4.2 on this skin, because like I said, it was a bit tough to saturate, and that's because my machine was at 2.4. So hopefully with the 4.2 I can get it darker than this. Other than that, I've like I said, I made the discovery, and I was just very intrigued that the machine that I have has the setting that I didn't know about. So the last two tattoos that I've done, the snake and archangel, I'm sure I've uploaded the clips. And the other one of the Lion, I used the 4.2 stroke, so I'm very curious to see how they heal and whether they heal more bold than the ones that I did without the stroke. So I'm very curious, but as of now I've set both machines at the 4.2 because I found that in general having that bigger stroke or that higher value of the stroke like the 4.2 is way better than the 2.4. The lower strokes used only for shading. The other stroke is more versatile. You can shade and line with it, so that's what I'll be using. Other than that, I had a cool week. Cool 2 weeks. Last week I wasn't able to upload. I think I got caught up on the day of the upload and I hadn't made the edit, and two, I didn't have enough footage. So the combination of the two factors, then I wanted to edit on Friday and post it, but then I was too tired and I didn't feel motivated, so I just figured I would combine the two into this vlog. So hopefully you guys have learned something watching the vlogs, or I found the pieces that I've done over the past 2 weeks interesting, and I'll see you guys in the next one. The next one will be in the new month. I'm not sure whether I have, I'm in conversation with some clients, nothing crazy planned though, so we'll probably or hopefully get like a cool piece to do in June, and I'll show you guys the process of that. Hopefully you get some cool projects. I want to do like a sleeve or something but we'll see what June holds for us.